Once you have tracked completed work on the Image tab, and then move to the Time Card tab to track the number of hours it took to complete that work, you will have the necessary data available to analyze the progress of your project. That data is displayed right here on the Budget tab in an easy-to-read format. It's here that you'll see a visual representation of your project's budget with information about projected goals as well as actual production. This tab has two primary sections. The budget graph along the top will give you a graphical representation of the project's historical production compared to the project budget. Below that, the budget grid offers you the list of labor cost codes with their current and projected statuses. I'll break down the details of these sections for you in a bit, but for now, let's quickly run through the tools you have available across the top of the tab on the command bar. Starting at the far left, the Work Date field allows you to choose a date from the calendar for review. Next, you can decide whether to show the data for that day in terms of days or hours by clicking the radio button just to the right. The next option over, Roll Up the Base Bid and Accepted Change Orders, allows you to incorporate all percenting and time card information from all accepted change orders into the Budget tab information. Way over to the right, you have two other checkboxes to consider. Show Time Card Detail we'll explore momentarily, and then Show CC Name simply refers to your cost code name. Checking that box adds an additional column to your grid so that you may have a more user-friendly description for each of your labor cost codes. Now, let's look again at the budget graph. You'll notice a series of bubbles appear along the timeline. The horizontal line running through this timeline is your budget, and the bubbles that appear along the timeline represent the production you have already tracked in your program. Shown here, they reveal to you whether that project is tracking under, on, or over budget. You'll notice that the same color scheme displayed here is as it is throughout Digital Production Control. This further communicates the progress of your project. Remember, green indicates that productivity is at or higher than the anticipated pace of work. Orange indicates that your numbers are 5% or less over budget, and red indicates that your project is more than 5% over budget and losing money. Now, let's take a look at the grid that accompanies this graph. How do we break down these numbers? Well, we'll start at the top. Take note of the fact that the results are broken into three main areas: actual hours, projected hours, and various rates of production. The first line is your overall projected total. When we look at the actual hours, just that section, we see that the data displayed includes the total estimated hours. Those are the total estimated hours you intended this project to take when you started. And next to that is the percentage of those estimated hours that you've actually completed. Earned hours indicates the number of estimated hours of production you've completed, while the used hours gives you the number of hours it took you to complete this work. So, this project overall is supposed to take 946 hours. We've done 43% of that estimation. We have completed what we thought would take 409 hours, but it actually took us 424 hours to complete that work. So what that leaves us is a deficit of 14 hours. So next, that affects our projection. Our projected section shows us the new projected number of hours it will take to complete the project. Now we're up to 991 hours, which is a difference overall of 45 hours or 5% of our expected total estimated hours. And finally, over to the right in the production section, you'll see the estimated rate of production next to the actual or tracked rate of production, and then the difference between the two. Now, underneath this first line, you will see this same data broken out over and over again for each separate cost code that is in play in your project. Remember to take note of the various colors alerting you to problem areas. Be aware that you can receive further granular detail on this tab by exploring your context menu. Just right-click, and you will be able to break this information on the unit of measure, which is what we're actually doing already. You may group this data by bid area, which tells us that the problem area is actually the second floor. You can hide any inactive labor cost codes, expand or collapse these areas, and even show additional decimal places for further detail. And depending on where you right-click, as you can see, you also have the option here to view your results in terms of days versus hours. Finally, you may use the Show Time Card Detail, the box we mentioned before, to display the time card detail window. This will show how all of the data for any chosen labor cost code may have been impacted by a particular crew member or team.